Okay, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Team Untapped Book Club's reading session. Yay! Oh, can you guys see my face? I think my face is all over the place now. Hang on.
Yeah, we can see.
Let me try to fix my face. My face on Twitch is like lari gila kot. Hang on just a mic test. Can you guys hear me?
Let's hear.
Okay, there we go. Alright guys, good morning. Welcome to another session of the book club. We've got 15 minutes of reading time, so please take your time and read the current chapter. We are going to enter into chapter 3 today and finish up on what we missed last week on chapter 2. Yay! Alright. And it's a really good morning today. As you can see, we have everyone here today. Yay! We've got Ray, we've got Tika, and we've got myself, Kenji, all live and accounted for. Alright. So while we have our 15 minutes of reading time, I shall let everybody read in peace. Yeah? Okay. I'll try something funny. Okay guys, if you guys have any questions that you would like to discuss on, right, do share it in the chat or send them to me, and I will get them down so that we can talk about it today. Today's chapter is a pretty interesting one with 13 pages, so let's take some time and check it out. So while we're at it, good morning to Lizzie-Beth. morning to Ice Wizards. And Mr. Super 8 and Drepsnat. I'm sorry, Elizabeth, I accidentally timed you out. All chapters less than 20 pages. I think later in the book there are some chapters that may reach 20 and 22 pages, but most of the chapters are short, are really short. So for those of you guys who want to know, I'm in Ipoh today. It's a very interesting evening yesterday, and thanks to that I had to stay over in Ipoh. Simply put, I was witness to a crime. That happened. Atika, can I do a mic test with you? Would you just say hi?
Hi.
Ray, can you just say good morning?
Good morning.
Ah, okay. Good.
You okay, all check?
Right now, I'm okay. Just a lot of follow-up work to do. I think the audio is kind of messed up because I'm not in my usual spot. So I'm worried later the feed may have echoes and stuff. Okay, we've got about 3 more minutes of reading time. Do you guys want more reading time, or do you guys think you guys are ready to go? Sorry, Ray, I couldn't hear you.
I'm okay either way.
Alright. Tika?
I'm good.
You're good? Okay. So, once again, welcome to the book club and good morning, everyone. Okay? So today we are talking about chapter 3. And we are wrapping up chapter 2. So we're going to be spending a little bit more time, so that's why we're taking up a little bit more of the reading time to start our chapter. Okay, once again, let's go through some formalities. Alright, the book that we are reading is Grit by Angela Duckworth. Okay, you may have a different cover, that's perfectly fine. Okay, this is just the most common cover from the regular publisher. Okay, some ground rules and reminders before we start today. Okay, there are 3 main rules. Number 1, questions from the audience related to the book are always welcome. Alright, rule number 2, the discussions may go deep and come from any angle, so please be open to receiving ideas from everyone. And lastly, examples may be from personal experiences, so please do not attack them personally. We try to have as little segregation as possible. Alright, we want to be accommodating to everybody, so let's look at everybody's ideas with an open mind. Alright, okay, so let's begin. So from last week, okay, we were talking about Scott's story in chapter number 2. So let's take a look at Scott's story from chapter number 2. Chapter number 2. Okay, so chapter number 2 was distracted by talent, and we were looking at Scott's story. So Scott's story was the one about being able to find and challenge people. Let's see, is anybody at the page already? There we go. So Scott was this guy who um, was considered not a very good, not a very smart person. He was considered by everyone in school to have lack of studying ability. Okay, but he learned the cello really easily because his grandfather was a cellist in the orchestra, so he could pick up lessons from his grandfather and he started learning faster and faster and faster. Alright, but the thing about people in his school was because he didn't have the talent to study, alright, so everyone thought that he wouldn't be able to do better. And because of that, okay, when he wanted to study in gifted and talented classes like his friends, the school stopped him from going there. The school slowed him down. Okay, the school didn't allow him, even though he was winning all kinds of awards from the music department. Okay, the school still considered his lack of IQ as a barrier and didn't allow him to proceed into studying at the gifted and talented classes. So Scott asked this question, okay, does achievement trump potential, and if so, at what point? Okay, so that is in the context of Scott's story. But in our daily life, alright, we have heard of many people who may not have a degree in engineering, right? But they build their own phone chargers, they build their own home entertainment systems, you know? So does that count as achievements trumping potential? And if so, can we actually find people like that and challenge them to come up to the next level? Is that possible? What do you guys think? Or are we too distracted by talent to move forward with people like this? So everyone's still kind of looking for the page. So maybe I'll go first. In the world of engineering, okay, we actually have something called a chartered engineer, a registered engineer, an IR, okay, and there is a way for someone who he may not have a degree or some fancy certification of knowledge, but as long as he has the basic level of knowledge and years of working experience, instead of having to go through all the rigorous challenges to get the IR, he can actually just simply take a test and prove that he's capable and competent enough to be an IR and actually get the IR. So I think that's a very actually that was one of the reasons why I was drawn into the engineering society, because I thought that they were very open-minded, you know. they will let people who simply have experience still take this exam and go through and become an IR, because IR is somebody who's really qualified, right? They can sign off on papers and stuff to approve buildings and things like that. So I thought, you know, that they were quite open-minded by doing something like this. And I think it's very important because not everybody is capable of studying the same way. So when what we are used to is the more straightforward method of studying, where, you know, you have a book, everyone studies the book, alright? But it's less of experience studying, I think, because even in the for example, if you're a hairstylist, right, you can spend hours and hours studying the theory of hairstyling, right? But you have never cut someone's hair. You're still gonna have problems when you're faced with somebody with a whole full shock of hair, right? Okay, what do you guys think? Tika, you look like you have something to say.
So I'm kind of confused with the question actually.
You're kind of confused with the question. Okay, so let me try to rephrase the question. What we were reading last week, okay, was that people in general tend to have a bias towards talented people. We want to see talented people succeed. We give more opportunities to talented people. People who score higher in the IQ test, we give them more opportunity. But there's this case of Scott where he's got very bad IQ results. Okay, I think it was because he has a learning disability or something. Let me just double check.
It's dyslexic, I think.
No, he's got ear infections in his ear.
Wrong person.
Yeah, the dyslexic one is in chapter 3. So because of the ear infection, he cannot really hear and react to what he hears in real time. Right? Sort of like lagging. Sort of like what happens sort of like what happened last week with Ray's connection. We were talking here and then Ray was trying to catch up with us on chat, you remember? Yeah. So yeah, so what do you guys think? A person like Scott, he couldn't study, but he was able to score so much achievement, right? Do you guys actually think that achievement can trump potential? Or Hidayah think that IR was cool and now she's far from being an IR. Wow. Hidayah, you also wanted to become an IR? IR is not internet researcher, yeah, Daya? Okay, so what do you guys think? Ray? Tika? Hang on, I think I need to close this.
It's an interesting question, because
Oh, cannot. Too dark.
Oh?
My face looks so dark. Ah, there you go. Now you guys can see my face. Okay, sorry. Tika, back to you.
I'll say this. Where I come from, I'm from convent school, right? So we always have this kind of a test where you get this into answers based on your grades. So I always place, because of my parents' education and stuff, so I always place in the first class. But it doesn't mean but I'm still friends with those in the lower class, right? It doesn't seems to me that they actually gifted in academic. They are not gifted in academic, but they are particularly gifted in other stuff. For example, like sports and stuff, right? And the people. Wait, I think I'm deviating from the questions already.
It's okay. Let's hear from you first, and then we'll see what happens.
The question is whether we focus on potential or we focus on hard work, right?
No, the question is whether if a person uses achievement, can we sort of like recognize that achievement instead of just recognizing their potential? Like for example, a person who spends a lot of time in the gym and becomes very fit, becomes very muscular, sort of like Arnold Schwarzenegger, right? If he comes out and then opens a class on bodybuilding, does he need a doctor's degree in bodybuilding, or do you think that it is okay for you to learn from him because he has that achievement already?
I think I get back to that.
So what do you think, Ray?
Give me. Did you hear it? I feel right. But my answer is that.
You're kind of soft though.
Yeah. This is the pattern my mic has picked up. I'm actually speaking quite loudly or clearly. gonna get an earphone.
Okay.
Maybe you wanna move on to the next one.
Okay, can. Because I actually like this question a lot, because I'm right now doing the Amway business as a weight loss consultant, right? And there's nothing like there is no such thing called a certificate of weight loss. You know, there's no master's degree in weight management. There is no master's degree in losing fat, right? You know, it's not like I'm the biggest loser or something, right? But I have helped a lot of people lose weight. So when some people come up to me and they ask me, Kenji, you're not a doctor, you're a certified nutritionist, but you're just a nutritionist. What do you know about weight loss and weight management? What do you know about telling me what to eat? Should I listen to you? You know, that becomes a problem for me that I'm facing right now, because everybody is asking me whether can I trust you to help me lose the weight? You know? So that's like I've got the achievements, right? I just don't have that studying potential. So does that count? But yeah, like Ray said, it's okay. We'll move on to the next question then. Okay, so the reason why this thing was very important was because the next part was the last part of the chapter, okay, brought us to this question. Alright, Scott at the end of the chapter, okay, managed to become a PhD holder, right? And graduated from Phi Beta Kappa. He had to go through a very different way to score in his exams, okay? Instead of using the usual path, he went through the musical program to then take his minor as a psychology, and then change his psychology from major to his major from opera to psychology, which allowed him to finally get his psychology degree. Okay, but that's the thing, you know, even though he couldn't at the beginning get what he want, Scott was still able to achieve what he wanted, because he was willing to put in the effort for it. He was striving for it. So does that mean that we should pay more attention to people who are striving, or does that mean that we should support people who are naturally born with talent? What do you guys think?
It's 50-50 for me.
50-50. What do you mean? What do you mean, Tika?
Because how to say this? I like underdog stories. You know, those like from zero become great in something that they did, right? They do. And at the same time, I also likes to watch those actually have natural talent on it, and then see how they strive, how they achieve success in it. You know. So yeah, I mean, I think the reason why we are biased towards naturals is because I think in the book it says also we have to compare us with the naturals because they are born with it. We don't feel too bad if we cannot achieve the same thing.
Tika, that's true, right, Tika? once you see somebody with natural born talent, it's like, oh, okay lah, you win lah.
Yeah.
What do you think, Ray? Should we favor the strivers, or should we favor the natural one with talent and stuff?
As much as I like to favor the strivers, I mean, we all like the story of the underdog, as what Tika has shared earlier. But I think it's due to the current existing culture in society today that we are biased towards the one with talent, because we tend to have this bias thinking that those with talent, if we invest in those people, we can get results much faster. we don't have the time to wait for the strivers to catch up. And seeing that we are in a very capitalistic sort of structure, everything has to be efficient, everything has to be fast, we want things now, we want people who are productive now, we want to get results now. So naturally, for HR managers, I suppose they will automatically go for those that are talented, or they can see that their talent is an indicator that there's potential for them to grow. They have no time to look at the strivers, it's that the strivers may not achieve that level yet. It may take them maybe another 10 years, and some corporate people and the industries, they just don't have time to wait. So it's due to this, it's due to the weakness in our world's system, really, that does not give a chance for strivers. What do you think?
No, I think that is very real, right? And as we are talking about that, right, if we look into chapter 3, it talks about effort counting twice. I think one of the things that is very powerful about what both you and Tika just shared, both Ray and Tika just shared, was, how Tika says that, I like the story of people who are like slumdog millionaire. They started from nothing and then they work their way up to millions of money and success and all that. And then at the same time, we also look at people who are like already talented, and then like what Ray said, they're already talented. If we give them a little bit more effort, if we give them a little bit more resources, where can they go? Can they bring us to like this sacred place in don't know where, like they're the Holy Grail or something. So
achieve whatever goal that the company or set out to achieve, that can we hit that target faster with that person,
right,
that obviously has the talent for it,
right?
Looking from that context,
There's that mysticism around how far can they go, like that Moana thing.
Moana is talented, okay.
Moana has that song, right? See the light in the sky. Right. So I think that's really about whether to support the strivers or to support the naturals. I think it's very powerful to consider the fact that both strivers and naturals have the opportunity to succeed. Alright? But as we can see from the examples in chapter 2, right? If we look back at the examples in chapter 2, like Scott's example, or even like the example of the author herself, right? Okay? Like she says, I took an IQ test early in my schooling and was deemed insufficiently bright to benefit from gifted and talented classes. Okay? But she was very, very lucky that a teacher asked her to retest. And because of that, she made the cut. So, there's another book that's quoted in this study called Outliers, right? Which talks about all these kind of luck-based things. And maybe, just maybe, luck has a factor in it. But if you look at all the basic examples of success, right, it's always about somebody who has put in the effort, then they succeed. It's never about somebody who's naturally born talented and then because of that they succeed. Maybe because we as humans, we live for more than 30 years. So that's why you cannot just like, boop, I am naturally born talented, yay, I shall succeed here. If humans die at the age of 30, then your natural born talent may count for something, right? You don't really need to put in extra effort, right? Because after 30 years it doesn't matter anyway. Because the guy who is striving doesn't have enough time to catch up to you, Yeah, but because human beings now live until like what, 80, 100, right? Gary Vee is quoted for saying that, oh no, even if you're 70 and you start something new right now, you're still young, there's still a long way to go, right? I look at my dad. My dad's 70, okay, and he's still teaching badminton. He's still fit as a fiddle, you know. So if he wants to start something right now, I'm not surprised, okay, that he might be able to find success. All right. But of course, that being said, all of us, we still need to work hard earlier on. We can't just wait until we are 90, then only we start, right?
You just need to work. I think you just need to work harder, and the challenges posed to you. Let's say you want to start a badminton coaching business at the age of 70. There will be some unique challenges that you would have to overcome. Like, will your younger students say, I want this iPad to come and teach me? I prefer a younger. Yeah, so unfortunately, the human bias and preference is still there.
True.
People. Not even, even in this case, talent is not part of the equation already. It's age, you know. When you look at youthful, they may equate that to perhaps more energy or more talent. It doesn't matter if you won so many medals, you know, or so many trophies for what you've done in these 70 years old. Your has been, you know. Just pointing out the reality of the world
that we're living
in
right now.
But that doesn't discount the fact that we should. If we do have dreams, then and a goal, we can still pursue it with grit. Coming back to this.
Yep. Which is very interesting as we look into the next chapter, right? Chapter 3, right, talks about effort counting twice. I find this chapter's title very interesting. Effort counts twice. Just now she was spending so much time talking about natural versus strivers, and then now she just talks about effort counting twice. So that's why I found it very, very interesting. Okay, so the first story was the one with Mark Spitz and how this researcher told her to read Nietzsche. I until today can't pronounce his name.
Nietzsche.
I have no idea how to pronounce it.
Anyone knows how to pronounce his name? Nietzsche. Nietzsche. I don't know. So it's very interesting because you see she talks about this where we talk about talent, right? And we mentioned earlier that, you know, people with talent doesn't mean that they are successful. People who strive doesn't mean that they are successful, right? But definitely talent is not equal to achievement. Although talent gives you a shortcut to achievement. So they compare between Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton, which, if you guys remember, when Hillary Clinton was going against Donald Trump, there were so many memes that we can really see that Bill Clinton is a lot better as a politician than Hillary. So they claim that Bill Clinton was a talent, right? And Hillary is a striver. And she says this the best. I think the book said it the best. It was that the unsaid but obvious implication is that Hillary will never be as good as Bill Clinton, right? So in this she mentions that we naturally bias against people who have talent. We naturally bias towards people with talent because talent is this magical thing where, oh, it's not because I didn't put enough effort, it's because I'm not talented, that's why I didn't get what I want, you know. So we sort of like a cop out. Yeah, it's like an easy way out. Like if we read The Magic of Thinking Big, it's excusitis, right? So so I think that's very interesting. And then she was talking to Dr. Dan Chambliss. Wow, all their names are so interesting. Okay, so
Chambliss.
Yeah, so Dan Chambliss, right? And he was like, go read Nietzsche, right? I think he was the one who said go read Nietzsche. Dan told her to go read Nietzsche when he talked about the magic of having talent, right? Mark Spitz is a swimmer before Michael Phelps, right? Michael Phelps is a very famous swimmer. Okay, so sorry.
Oh, nothing.
Yeah, so Mark Spitz was a swimmer in the 1972 Olympics, and was the Michael Phelps before Michael Phelps. And then after that, in 1984, there was this guy called Rowdy Gaines, who swim together with Mark Spitz, and they swam in the practice pool. And all the people there, right, just gathered just to watch them swim. Everybody knew how good Rowdy Gaines was. Okay, they knew how much effort that Rowdy Gaines put in, right, and they knew that that guy was going to win the Olympic gold medal. Okay, but Mark Spitz was 12 years older than Rowdy Gaines, and when they look at the way Mark Spitz swim, they said, "Oh my God, this guy's a fish." When that guy says that, right?
Win liao.
Yeah, it's like this guy win liao, you know. No need to see liao, you know. This guy is a fish. He was naturally born talented, you know. So all of us cannot beat him. It sounded like that, you know. So that's why the author, okay, Angela asked Dan, he said, is this kind of performance just the collection of effort, or is it something more? Is it something magical? And then that's when Dan told her to go and read Nietzsche. This guy's name, I'm sorry, this guy's name is... And Nietzsche said this: with everything perfect, we do not ask how it came to be, we just rejoice in the fact as though it came out of the ground by magic. So even Nietzsche, okay, some guy who was around in the 1800s, also says that we tend to bias these things because we want it to seem magical. So my question is this, guys, okay, does that mean we as people naturally have this tendency to avoid talking about effort? That's why we look at talent like it's such a big deal. What do you guys think?
Because effort is pain.
True.
You know, to struggle is pain, and it's human nature to want to avoid pain at all costs. Like, who would want to wake up at 6 a.m. every morning to practice your piano drills just before work, 1 hour before I come back and clock in another 6 hours a week? It's all pain, man. With all the practicing and preparation, it's time, it's effort, and sometimes doing those drills, it's not fun at all. I'm not sure about what swimmers go through, but probably their day starts off at around 5 a.m. in the morning, and they have to do an hour's worth of warm-up exercises first. And I think even for just to go to the gym or do regular exercise, yeah, I gotta admit it, most of us skip the stretching part and the warm-up part and just go straight to do it because that's the pain to see.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. So we gotta avoid that pain part of putting in effort. I would say, yeah, it's very human to do so. Unless you have incredible, you have the discipline. You know that these drills are supposed to make you better during a performance. Then you do it.
I know. I never warm up before running 10 km.
See. Good to warm up.
I know I always bitch about my flexibility, but I never do stretching exercises.
And why not?
Because it's so painful. You feel like you lose control.
It's like, can I just get into the fun part already and just the running?
Yeah, it's like, can I just like implant a more flexible muscle or something?
I wish that works, man.
Same.
Tika, what do you think about this thing?
Same with Ray, because all those efforts. I mean, if we do it every day, it's a little bit mundane, like a bit
Such
boring.
more.
Yeah, and then people likes to see something that pop. Oh, you got it. You know, it's like what's Nietzsche say is it's like magic. You know.
You don't want to go through the grind, man.
Yeah, I mean, like right now, right? I'm like preparing for the 20 km marathon. The thought of like running or even like doing workout just to build up my leg muscle is like, I don't want to think about it.
Very true,
So
right?
I kind of, yeah. So I kind of understand why people like okay, and then it is. Unless we have like someone unless our story of the effort is how to say display like in a movie theater with like background music or anything. I think people will be excited about it.
Montage, you know, you got the tiger playing.
Oh yeah.
Chang, 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 chang. Okay, then you want to do all the stretching already.
It's like that Rocky movie, right? When the guy go like, oh, which is so true. Right?
Yeah.
that is actually so true, so human, right? So that's one very important distinction that you made there, right? And okay. So and Nietzsche. Nietzsche.
The word for today is Nietzsche. You have to end.
It's like you walk up to people and then you say the N word. No, it's not that N word. It's Nietzsche. Nietzsche.
Nietzsche.
So I like this saying that he put. He says people who achieve great things are people whose thinking is active in one direction, not the band. Okay, they employ everything as material. They always zealously observe their own inner life and that of others to perceive everywhere models and incentives, and never tire of combining the means available to them. When I read this line in the book, I was like, it was like a justification of whatever I'm doing in my life. Some people come up to me and say, Kenji, everything you do in life somehow seems to always revolve around you, right? And I'm like, yeah, because I'm in the pursuit of greatness, my friend. Greatness is by combining together all the means available to me to achieve what I want.
Okay.
Insert background music. but of course, you don't. Just because you combine all the means available to you doesn't mean you just throw everything together lah. Like a painter, they want to paint they want to paint green color, they mix blue color and yellow color, right? They don't just throw all the colors into the same pot, right? Then it end up becoming black color. So knowing how to distill the resources and using the proper resources is also part of what Nietzsche said, right? Nietzsche also said that using the models and incentives, right, and combining them together, what he kind of implied was combining them together correctly lah. Right? Because the next line he said, okay, was, do not talk about giftedness, do not talk about inborn talents. One can name great men of all kinds who were very little gifted. They acquired greatness because they possess the seriousness of the efficient workman, which first learns to construct the parts properly before it ventures to fashion a whole thing. Right? Which is very different from what our friend Henry Ford said, right? Which is the sum of all parts is greater than itself, right? These guys, they make the parts first before thinking about the whole, which is something that I find very interesting. Because you see, the next point that they make in this is summing all the parts is a normal skill. It's the ability to do simple things. Alright? It is like what Atika said earlier, it is mundane. Alright? And it's habitual. But Nietzsche talked about being consistent about it. Right? He says about doing it every day. Okay? So that's something that I find very interesting. Okay? Which I brought up here. Alright? Normal skills, mundanity, habits, and consistency. Okay? What do you guys think about it? Normally, right, when we think of success, right, I don't know about other people. This is me. When I think of success, right, I think of all these big things that people have achieved. Like, oh wow, this guy has built six-pack abs, you know. But we all know that it comes from normal skills. The guy's probably done more than 10,000 sit-ups. That guy's probably done more than 10,000 minutes of planks. That guy's probably done like 10,000 minutes of push-ups. Okay? But we all look at him and go like, oh no, it must be genetic, you know, that's why he can lose weight so easily, you know. Oh no, he must be because he's doing this particular exercise, right? Or the most ridiculous one I ever heard. Oh, it's because he's having enough sex, that's why he's got six-pack abs. Right? I'm like, how would that work? 10,000 hours of sex must be very tiring for the guy. but it's...
I'm gonna wash that off my head.
I'm sorry. Okay. So but that is the thing about mundane things, normal skills, habits, and consistency. I think what Nietzsche was trying to say is that consistently doing the normal skills is the thing that allows these people to become great. What do you think?
Wait, what's the question again?
What Nietzsche said, what do you think about it? Let's take a look at what he said.
The answer is definitely, I think it's definitely a yes. If you are, I think the easiest example I can pull off would probably be exercising. As you know, your muscles take time to grow stronger, and by consistently training on, let's say, your abs or your core, in my case the core, if I consistently work on it from as little as 3 minutes to even 10 minutes a day, and each day I notice that I'm getting my endurance, stamina is getting stronger and stronger. So for certain skills require that sort of mastery, where you do need to master the principles of a particular movement or a particular method before progressing to the next. And I guess the other example, if you take a look at martial arts, I didn't take martial arts myself, but for those who have done Taekwondo, I believe that before they start going into the defense and attacks, all students are required to go through the rudimentary basics first for at least, I don't know, of course I've not taken a martial arts class myself, about maybe for 30 minutes to an hour. Then only the actual learning session of whatever new moves begin. And there is a reason for wanting for the need to master those principles first, because it actually strengthens certain muscles in your body, and it also strengthens your muscle memory in those areas. And those are actually they are like building blocks. They're not like Lego building blocks. They are actually related to the actual defense and offense moves that you will be executing later. So if you're not familiar or commit those rudimentary steps into memory, then it will be more difficult for you to master those later moves later. So the answer is yes for me. Like what Nietzsche said, the rudimentary, the fundamentals, the mundanity, the chore of it, you just have to do it because it's all part of the building block. And it's like a muscle. You have to strengthen it each day.
Very true, right? I think
But then kind of skip. In other words, it's the same with music. You gotta do your drills, you know. You have no choice. You just have to keep it flexible. And if you're complaining, I can't pull off that part. It's too hard. It's too fast. It's like, it's because you didn't do your drills. That's what the drills are for.
just like Kenji's flexibility.
Okay.
Talking about flexibility.
Back to the 10-kilometer runs.
I know, right? Okay. I will go back to my flexibility drills. So okay. So then, I personally think that what Nietzsche said is very powerful, right? And then Nietzsche ended with this. Nietzsche ended with this line. He says, they allowed themselves time for it because they took more pleasure in making the little secondary things well than the effect of a dazzling whole. Wow, this one was so powerful to me that I actually wrote this line as one of my questions. Taking pleasure in making the little things whole. What do you guys think of this line?
Enjoy the process.
I know, right? Every time you hear people say enjoy the process, what in the world are you actually enjoying? I cannot find joy in trying to stretch my leg muscles any more than it can go. Ow!
Imagine scales and finding joy in that.
I know! Like, how? How do you find joy in something like this? Is it even possible to find joy in something like this? You know, like what do you guys think? Is it possible? Let's talk to the taekwondo expert here, Atika.
I left taekwondo for like a very long time. No. I think I'll talk about a recent one. You guys talk about flexibility, right? I am considered flexible. I can touch my toe and stuff like that, right? A bit bendable in a certain state. But then, right, when you go into yoga class, right, that's a different whole type of flexible that you can learn there. So it's very frustrating, you know, like you're actually flexible, but when you go into that class, right, you found out that you are not flexible enough to perform certain things. Now, so you try your best to achieve that. Even like a simple pose, right? It requires like a lot of attention to detail and stuff like that, right? So I kind of understand why you need to enjoy those things, because those things, right, when you finally manage to achieve it at last, when you finally pull it off, right? Oh my goodness, it was like fun. Everyone will be like clapping on yourself, be like, oh, okay, you did great.
Achievement unlocked.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's not fun. I mean, if you have to do it a lot of times, but the effect, like after you finally manage to pull it off, is like, I think it's worth it lah. I'm trying. Now I'm trying to apply that to my run. It's not fun.
Makes me wonder if Eva has anything to say, because she's actively doing yoga now, right? So that's something I find very, very important, because taking pleasure in making the little things work is not just being consistent. Like you know how sometimes when we will tell ourselves, right, I'm doing this for the sake of getting my six-pack abs. I'm doing this for the sake of becoming more flexible. But that's not taking pleasure in making the little things work. You know what I'm trying to say? That's just putting your eye on the goal and taking pleasure of the whole. You know, so it's not the same as what Nietzsche is saying. Nietzsche, whatever his name is, right? Is saying that, you know, take more pleasure in making the little secondary things well than the effort and then the effect of the dazzling whole, right? We need to make sure that stretching feels better than becoming flexible. Wow. how do we that we have to make sure that practicing your scales feels better than performing in front of an orchestra. How?
Oh, yeah. What? Nobody, man. Drills are drills. It's called drill for a reason.
I know.
Maybe just accepting the nature of what it is and not making such a big fuss out of it helps to remove a little bit of that pain. Just accepting that this is something that needs to be done because it contributes to your overall performance in the end, or you end up enjoying yourself. So does that actually? It's not necessarily taking pleasure. I would say it's more like accepting that is something that you have to do.
Right. It's like, okay, this is something I need to get done. But
and it's very fast. 5 minutes only. 5 minutes only. Can.
But at the same time, right? Because I'm trying to run the 21 km, right? At the same time, right? I can understand how he means by taking pleasure in the little things. Like, for example, I'm trying to run 21 km, okay? And I've got some friends who have not run 15 km before, right? And when I see them run like 4 km, I'm like, wow, you managed to do 4 km, you're great. And then they go like, no lah, it's just 4 km, you're running 15 km. Of course lah, you think you can say whatever you want, right? But the reality is, I truly feel that for them, running that 4 km is good. Now, I can do it for other people, but I can't do it for myself. I don't know why. To me, it's like, I'm running 10 km every other day. Why can't I run 10 km tomorrow? Why can't I run 12 km now? Where is that little improvement? I don't see it. But
we tend to be our own artist critic, Angie.
Yeah.
We need a bit more self-love and compassion on ourselves. Treat our body like slaves,
Ow!
I'm guilty of doing that. Why is my body giving me the results I want when I put so much into that? So as you said earlier, if let's say the goal is to get that abs, then there's no more joy in the process. Actually, you're just doing it because you want to hit that goal. But if let's say okay, I'll do what I can for today, as far as I can go, and that's enough. That's enough for me, and I don't have a deadline for it, so I can take as long as I want. So by giving yourself a bit more leeway and being a bit that kind of works for me. So I don't have to get my abs at the end of the month. As long as I do it every other day, as long as I do it and I don't overpush myself, I treat it like a marathon rather than a sprint. Yeah. And that's when, by slowing down on things, I'm able to appreciate the process or take pleasure in the little bit of increment that I put in each day. Rather than, no, I had to do it by the end of the month. Oh my god, I still haven't got my abs yet. Why? I've been there.
I totally agree with you that there needs to be some coping mechanism to make sure that you can take pleasure in these things, man.
Yeah.
True.
Like, for example, one of the coping mechanisms I have is I'm trying to do a journal, right? Hang on. So I try to can you guys see the book?
No, it disappeared.
Oh.
You had to put it in.
It's the same color as my background, right? So some of you guys may know this book, okay? Some of you guys may not. So there's like a schedule inside here. Oh my god, it's the exact same color as my background. What the heck? My background is so yellow. So I try to give myself like some kind of coping mechanism to deal with the book. So what I do is I use a fountain pen to write whenever I'm using that book, so that I feel grandiose. I feel class. You know, I'm using a fountain pen. I'm not using a kilometrico or some other crappy ass pen.
Or kilometrico.
Oh, but the kilometricos are good pens. They last forever. They really can write for 1 kilometer.
Yeah, true.
Okay, so which brings us to the next part, right? If we look at the book, she talks about talent and effort becoming skill, effort and skill becoming achievement, right? This is something very important, I think, okay, because this is her simple equations to achieve something from talent. What do you guys think of this concept that she gave, and do you agree with it? Do you disagree with it? What do you think?
I like the effort times skill equals achievement. Because in this case, effort does not necessarily just means honing your skill, but if let's say you want to turn your skill, you want to commercialize your skill and make it into a business, then that effort will also include things like learning up what business is, forming partnerships and alliances with business partners to grow your business. You know, like, so I think all that counts under. It kind of goes beyond just your skill already. It also includes using the time that you have to hand for opportunities and just growing your pursuit more and more. And that, when you put it together, it goes to achievement. So I am in agreement with number 2. As for number 1, I think it's a lot more skill centered. Or was it again? Talent and athletic skill, so it's more related to skill. Yeah. Second one, it goes bigger. That's where you start to see all the magic happens, so to speak.
Okay, Tika, what do you think?
Seperti yang di atas.
Seperti yang di atas. But on the Twitch stream, you di bawah, you di atas.
Oh, is it? How to say this? I get what she's trying to say. I mean, like, if you put in skill and effort, you will see achievement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
At this point, I'm either 1 or 2 yet.
Yeah, it's either 1 or 2, but
That's for me.
I think my question is like last week. How do you rate the achievement though?
What is achievement? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, for example, if running, like you said just now, 4 km is a big deal to someone, but it might not be a big deal to others. So how do we rate that achievement?
Well, I think achievement is something you yourself celebrate, right? It doesn't matter whether other people celebrate or not, right? So that
Personal definition.
yeah, I think that is achievement, in terms of as far as achievement goes lah. Because if let's say, for example, you make $1 million and to you $1 million means nothing, everybody else may think that it's a big deal, right? But you've got 5 billion in your bank account, right? Like a certain botak fella, right? Then that 1 million doesn't make sense to you because it's just a drop in the bucket. so
I just realized.
yeah.
I just realized effort counts twice is like this. Without effort, you won't get achievement in anything.
Right,
in both
right.
equations, they are. Oh, I'm just like in general. I have no idea what I'm saying right now.
So if you are like for me, if you are if you are an engineer, right, you learn maths, right, you learn your maths, right, and then it will become talent times effort equals to effort times talent times effort equals to effort what am I saying? Okay, so effort times talent times effort equals to achievement.
Balance times effort equals to achievement.
Yeah, because you ganti the
Effort.
skill
Really?
with talent times effort mah.
Oh.
Because skill equals to talent times effort, so you put the talent times effort into where the skill is. So effort times talent times effort equal to achievement.
Interesting.
That's why effort counts twice. But the question the question that comes up in my mind, right, when I look at this is, so what happens if the guy is tone deaf? How then? He has zero talent. Does that mean he cannot get achievement?
He can play drums, right? You don't need tones for that.
That's true, right? That's true, right? You cannot ask
You
the
may
fish
still
to
have the
swim,
sense
right?
of rhythm.
You cannot ask the fish to climb trees, right? Because no matter how much effort the fish puts into climbing trees, he just doesn't have the legs for it, right? Like, if the guy is born without legs, can he run a marathon?
There's something called Paralympics, right?
Yeah, but if he is born without legs, okay, he can't run the marathon. No matter how much effort he puts in, he can't run it. Right?
Because he can't run.
He can't run.
That's
There's no
very
legs.
literal. Of course, he cannot run.
Yeah, because just now Atika mentioned that what is achievement, right? So I wanted to bring this up because, like, for example, Ray, being able to perform in an orchestra would be an achievement for you, right? Like, you play music, right? So that would be an achievement for you. But for someone who is tone deaf, okay, they can't play in an orchestra, right? Because
It's just not their it's not their field.
yeah, it's not the field where they can achieve something in there. So I think not having a talent is a problem to achieve something, even though yes, you need to put in double the effort to get there. But very few people have zero talent lah, right? If you have one talent, you still can use effort to get your achievement. But people have shown throughout history, right? Okay, there was a guy, a very famous musician, okay, who was bloody hell deaf. He couldn't hear for shits, alright? And yet you hear his music being played every single freaking where. Right? I believe, Ray, in your process of learning how to play the piano, you are also forced to play his music, right? Even though the guy is bloody deaf.
Talking Beethoven, is it?
Yeah. Ludwig Beethoven.
I didn't really read into classical musicians because I didn't go down the classic path. I'm more of a pop person myself. But my understanding is that his deafness was he wasn't born deaf.
No, he wasn't born deaf. He later became
Yeah.
deaf. Yeah.
But he became deaf. So the result of him playing so much music and being so dedicated to it, talking more than 10,000 hours of mastery, has literally made him able to memorize each and every tone on the piano and each and every tone from each instrument. So that is the level of achievement he has made from all the effort that he has put in. So even when he's deaf, he's able to compose something because he don't need to hear the instruments anymore, you know. He could just listen it in his mind. And it's all committed to muscle memory already. That's Beethoven's achievement.
Right.
Rather, his effort and time in really putting all that time into music has paid off in that sense, but he loses hearing.
Right.
And I think that's the case with some pop artists, pop musicians as well. They practice so hard, they work so hard that they either develop carpal tunnel syndrome if they are guitarists, or even like the J-pop artist Ayu Saki, she's becoming deaf. because of all the hours that she spent on performing, singing, and in studios and recordings, and now she's losing her hearing.
Yep. I really think that it's a real thing, you know, about having zero talent and still using effort to overcome the talent barrier. I think these people, they are not zero talent, they just had their talent drop down to a very low level, right? Like for example, Stevie Wonder is completely blind, right? And he's still
They can hear.
Yeah, he's playing by ear. He's literally playing by ear, right?
Playing by ear.
And then we also have people who sing until they lost their voice, right? So that's also a thing, right? So then, but nowadays I think talent is not just the ability to do something. You can always switch your achievements to match your talent. That's something that I wanted to bring up. Like maybe
something I want to do.
Yeah, like maybe Kenji, you're not meant to be a fitness trainer. Maybe you're meant to be an engineer. You know, you never know, right? So the only way to do it is to try, right? If you all have kids, then you probably need to tell them that, you know. Yeah. So the thing is, one example of this, right, comes in the next part of the book, where we talk about 3 stories, one by McKenzie, one by Garp, and one by Will Smith, right? So McKenzie is a potter, okay? He was a potter. He is like, to me, he's like the definition of the movie Ghost, you know, Ghost? The one where the guy makes pots and then suddenly the wife became a ghost and then... No, the husband became a ghost.
He became the ghost.
Yeah, he became the ghost. Right? So, but for Mackenzie's case, the wife died. So yeah. But very, very early on in his story, he said this: it soon became clear that doing one thing better and better might be more satisfying than staying an amateur at many different things. So they gave up the drawing, the painting, the silk screening, the textile design, and just concentrated on pottery only. And that is where he made, like, wow, he can make 40 or 50 pots a day, you know, that's crazy way. I see they all make the pots, I think if I make one pot also, I take 4 or 5 hours already. They make 40 to 50, come on, man. Are you crazy? That's nuts. Alright? So that is something I feel is very real when you talk about achievement and talent and effort. If he was trying to do many different things, he would have to split his effort among all the different things, right? So that would mean that he may not be famous for pottery, right? I realized this when I was doing sales. When I'm doing sales, right, I'm in the Amway business. So I go out and I tell people, oh, I sell Amway products. And then I go and join another company that sells steel racking. Okay? So I go there and say, I sell steel racks. And at the same time, I'm also a real estate agent. So I go up to people and say, I also sell houses. Then people look at me like, Kenji, what the heck are you doing? You're selling too many things. I just don't understand what the heck are you doing. You know? So no matter how much effort I did during that time, I will always face this wall where people will look at me and go like, I don't know what you represent. I don't understand what you represent. And that will reduce the amount of trust that people have with me. Right? What do you guys think about Mackenzie's story? Do you guys have any opinion on Mackenzie's story?
I think to some extent I kind of agree with McKenzie to focus on one craft to make it really successful, because at the end of the day we only have limited resources, especially in terms of time and energy. So as much as we all enjoy learning to do different things and hold multiple roles, there's even a term for it. It's called being a multi-potentialite. That means you have different talents Yeah, there's a word that exists. It's actually a TED talk. Go check it out when you have the time.
Multi-potentialite. Wow.
Yeah, multi-potentialite. That means you're someone that has multiple potentials. You can cook, you can cook, you can dance, you can cosplay, you can do computer programming. You're a rocket scientist. You're also an engineer, also an architect. Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, so what I'm coming back to what I'm trying to say is, at the end of the day, we only have limited resources. We still need to put food on the table. So I think in this example, where they have many talents, but it seems that the one that is bringing them the income and bringing them the earnings can see faster results. Okay, so put all our investment on that. Forget the rest. So you look at it from that angle, it kind of makes sense. Yeah, and as for Kenji, you were saying that when you try to sell, yes, I sell houses, I sell pots, I sell this, I sell that, and people look at you and say, WTF, what are you doing? I think there's this inherent thinking in people that we are actually very lazy. So if we do a lot of things, our brain don't want to think really. We just want to, as humans, we just want to identify you as doing one thing. Kenji, you are a nutritionist, cow team. I don't want to know anything else. I got too much in my mind to process. So that's one way to look at it. Yeah. But if you yourself are interested in doing all sorts of things, then personally, why not? What's stopping you? Yeah. But as I said, you have limited time, you have limited resources, you gotta pay your bills, then which one of these potentials or these gifts are giving you the fastest return, then you bang on that one. And I think that's just the reality of how the world works. We can't survive wanting to learn everything. I mean, even if the interest is there, even if the talent is there, but we just don't have enough resources.
True. Alright. Tika, what do you think? Or do you want to move into Garp's story?
Garp is the writer's story, right?
Garp is the guy with Irving, the dyslexic guy, yeah.
Yeah. Garp is the talented one. Irving is the striver kind of thing.
Yeah. Since you mentioned it earlier, I thought you wanted to talk about it.
I remember a bit of it. It's a fictional character that written by Irving. He portrayed Garp as a person who can somehow simply come up with anything. But on the other hand, Irving is struggling with the same thing. He had to, I think, practice.
Yep.
Yeah, and then he was the one who finally considered. Oh yeah. Wait, let me check again. Yeah. Irving discovered that he has lack of talent in writing, so he writes a lot of novels. I mean, draft after draft. And then he even had to stay in school for an extra hour because they didn't have enough credit to graduate. But people, even his teachers thought he was lazy, right? Yeah, I mean, you kind of understand why he also thought he was lazy. Because he took forever just to read a chapter of history, but when his classmate can read it in an hour, he had to finish in 2 or 3 hours. So when he got his own son, was diagnosed with dyslexia, then he understand why he had been a poor student. So why am I reading this again?
Thank you for reading it for us.
Yeah.
Summary.
Yeah. In this case, right, you kind of understand why Irving, right, despite his lack of talent, he still pursue in writing because he's passionate about it, and then it shows that you cannot master this in on night. You have to keep on writing and writing and writing, and then when his own son has problem, right, and then he is like I call that not a slap of reality. He yeah. Somehow I forgot how this story ends.
So if you look at the Discord, then you will see it.
Eh?
Oh, okay. So the story here ends where Irving says that the only thing that he has confidence is whenever he writes a novel, he has the stamina to go through it again and again and again, no matter how many times it takes and how difficult it is. Rewriting is what he does best as a writer. He spends more time revising a novel than writing the first draft. That is Irving's ability. I agree with him, but I wanted to hear what you had to say about it, because you mentioned it earlier.
No, it's just that, for someone who doesn't give up in writing is actually a very inspiring, because last time I tried to do writing, right, it took me forever just to come up with a sentence. Others may be like thinking it's just like, it's just a sentence. Why do you think so much about that one particular sentence? But to me, it's because I wanted to, convey my message in a clear voice. So that's why it took me just like, it took me like an hour just to come up with a paragraph. It's because I just wanted the message to become clear. Even like right now, I actually like struggling just to come up with my ideas why this is like a very fascinating concept. The amount of effort you put in just to write, and then later it become an advantage for you. Yeah.
Right. Let's move on to the last story. We've got about enough time to finish this part, and then not enough time to finish the chapter, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's move into the Will Smith story. Anybody wants to talk about the Will Smith story?
Not the one where the slap was this.
That's the first thing that went through my mind when I read the story. I was like, oh shit, this guy slapped someone in the face.
I always like it's like our question of it. Strange.
But I can understand why he did what he did. Like after reading this part, okay, then it becomes more clear to me why he slapped Chris Rock. Because you see, he said this: I've never really viewed myself as particularly talented. Everybody looks at Chris Rock as a very talented comedian, okay? But everybody knows that Will Smith doesn't think of himself as a very talented person. But what he excels in is ridiculous, sickening work ethic, right? This is one thing that he said that I really like. He says, I am not afraid to die on a treadmill. I will not be outworked. You may get onto the treadmill together with me, but two things are going to happen. It's either you are going to get off first, or I am going to die. That's it. It's really that simple. So I personally think that is a very true story. In fact, it is so powerful that Harvard University actually did a test for it. Harvard University actually did the treadmill test. Whether it was a way to measure grit or not, because this famous line at the end of the chapter by Will Smith, he says, skill is honed from hours and hours of beating on your craft, right? Talent is given, but skill is honed. So he will always consider himself as not talented. He always consider himself as a self-made man. He always thinks that he worked all those hours. And then when Chris Rock just throw a simple line like that, he's like, bullshit lah you know. Right? Yeah, like what Eva said, knowing that the first try may not be that good, he put in more effort to improve on the draft, and that's his advantage. Actually, I know somebody who does this. I'm in the Amway business, and one of the things that we do is talking to strangers, right? So my coach actually did this. For me, talking to strangers, it took me about 6-7 tries, and then I got it. I got the hang of it, and then I'm able to go start talking to strangers. Of course, not all the time strangers like me. Most of the time strangers find me weird, but yeah, what works, right? I met Atika as a perfect stranger, right? So my coach, okay, is not the same. My coach, he is very shy when it comes to talking to strangers, and he gets very, very afraid when he talks to strangers. So what he did was, he would record a test run on how to talk to strangers and repeat it to himself over 70 times, okay, before actually going out and talking to strangers with the same script. In fact, he has done it so many times, he actually has the same script. The first day I know him, the first day he brought me out to go and meet strangers, okay, he uses the same script as what he does now. It's the exact same script, no changes, because he found it to have the highest highest success rate. So there is no doubt in my mind that it is possible for someone who spends hours and hours and hours beating the shit out of a craft to actually gain a new skill, right? And in fact, sometimes I find it to be easier to teach other people if you use this method. If you're a talented person, right, you try and teach somebody else how to swim, and see, you throw the fella in the water, and then you tell him, no, naturally you know how to swim one. Walao, die. Right? So I think yeah, these people like Will Smith, people like McKenzie, people like Irving, spending those kind of hours on their craft not just makes them very good at it, but also makes them capable of what's the word for it? Capable of teaching other people or showing other people that it is possible to do what they do. Right? So yeah. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about the treadmill test. So when you look at the treadmill test, do we have enough time for this? Okay, we've got 5 more minutes. Let's quickly talk about the treadmill test and see if we can finish this chapter, okay? So the treadmill test was a test where Harvard sent all these 1,400 people to go and run on the treadmill and see if they can tahan the highest setting for like 5 minutes. Oh, that was tough, right? So if they were able to do it, okay, then they wanted to see where those people it's 130 people for 5 minutes. They were able to tahan for the longest, okay? Will they actually have more strength of will and stamina? And they found out that it is actually a good predictor of psychological adjustment throughout their adulthood. People who stay longer tend to be grittier and have better time with their mental health, right? So, but then Angela actually asked this. She asked, right, is it because of practice that these people are on the treadmill test? Is it because of they like running, that's why they are so successful on the treadmill test? Or is it because they like the task, they like the challenge, that's why they are on the treadmill test? What do you guys think? Guys, did I disconnect?
No.
Oh, okay.
Maybe they have an incentive for going for this test.
I mean, they don't want to to lose because
Guess
you're
who?
running next to you're running next to a person, right? So
They're like Will Smith, right? Either I die or you run off first, right?
oh.
So, but yeah,
Maybe
these are
not so much passion.
so these are the three reasons, right? Passion, love for running, and love of the task, right? Love of the challenge, right? So with these in mind, what do you guys think would be the better predictor of someone to succeed?
Dictator.
Because if you look at the guy who administered the treadmill test, right, he himself says this, okay? He is not that persistent. When he do crossword puzzles on the airplane, okay, he always look at the answer when he cannot find the answer. And then when there's something broken in the house, he just asks the wife to settle it. But then, this Harvard study, okay, has been running for like what, 40 over years? 60 over years? 40 over years, okay? And every 2 years, this George guy is the one who comes back and talks to all these people and all that kind of things. So do you think that he is still gritty, or do you think that he will fail the treadmill test entirely? And what
I don't know,
relevance do you think this has with us?
I'd say this. All three are like related, because if you ask me to do the treadmill test right now, I'll be like looking at you, this some sort of task, for the first time.
Yeah.
And then after a while, right, if you, let's say you lose, you're gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna practice on it until it become my passion just to win others.
I think that's a very
Oh.
good summary. Yeah. Sorry, Ray?
Or could it just be a test doing that? It's like, it's like we take school examinations, SPM and the likes. Usually acing in those papers aren't actually a predictor that you'll be someone successful. So what if this treadmill test also isn't really a good measure for whether you will be able to go the distance, because it's only a test taken at that time. Could be that okay, I love running, I practice running every day, but I still lose the test because maybe halfway running then I accidentally twist my ankle. But it's only during that time when I make that mistake and then I lose. So you can't judge me for that, you see.
True,
I'm
that's
coming
true.
from that perspective.
That's very true. Actually, you're right. Like, the both of you make very good points. That is, it could be a task that turned into a practice, that turned into a passion, and at the same time, it also could be that the test at that point in time does not relate to me. That's why I didn't bother pushing 100% at it, right? So yeah, it makes sense both ways, which is the reason why Angela actually asked this question. What if we let them come back for day 2? Wow. Will the ones that come back for day 2 be more grittier? Are those the ones that will actually, like, Atika like that? Oh, I came back for day 2, I'm going to make it stronger, I'm going to try to achieve better and blah 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 blah? Or the ones who
So they
come...
just trial me.
Yeah. Or maybe those who come back for day 2 are the ones who like, no lah, yesterday I not top form, today I better form, come, let's do it again, right? So, but I wanted to bring this up because I think this idea of coming back for day 2 is very important in life, right? In life. Yesterday I had a friend who felt very miserable in her life. She was very down. A lot of things happened to her that morning, and then she was crying for a myriad of reasons, right? A lot of things happened to her. But the ability to come back for day 2, right, from that, right, okay, is something that I believe everybody will be rewarded for. So She's listening in right now, so I want to remind her that don't worry. Always remember that you can always come back for day 2. This is not a one-time test, okay? Life doesn't end tomorrow, right? An example of somebody who did this very well yesterday. A friend of mine got robbed yesterday. She got there was a snatch theft. Okay, it happened right next to me. I never thought in my life I would actually bear witness to a snatch theft, but it happened right next to me. And when that happened, okay, after it happened, instead of cursing and swearing and getting angry at the situation, she actually just calmly called the cops, called the bank, cancelled all her cards, and then told me, okay, let's go make a police report. I was the one who was angry and furious, oh, I should have done this, I should have done that. And the thing about snatch thefts is you don't really want to come back for day 2 lah. I don't want to go back for day 2. I don't want to go through another snatch theft. No, thank you. But the ability to actually tell yourself that, hey, I lost some money today. It's okay. I'll come back for day 2 tomorrow. That's very, very powerful. And having that ability is not something that everybody has. And I believe that is a better predictor of someone who's gritty. Do you guys have anything you want to add to that?
Never give up.
Never give up.
And having that resilience, to accept defeat, continuing on the next day or accept failure. It's something that's not easy, even for me.
Alright. Tika?
I'm gonna quote Nike, just do it.
Nike, just do it, huh? I have a book next to me here. It's called Denial.
That's a sign.
Why?
No, like if you are capable of, denial works both ways lah. I feel you either deny the fact that everything is bad and you just persist and continue, like what Nietzsche said. Okay. You take all that you have and focus on one direction. Ignore everything else, right? Or you can deny yourself of success and focus on everything else except the thing that you want.
It's not wrong, when you look from a different neither one of these perspectives are wrong or not as effective. It depends at the end of the day on what is it that you want. If you enjoy doing multiple things and you don't really mind of achieving anything in any of them, then what's wrong with that?
That's very true.
Yeah, I think it's just a different way of doing things. And you don't mind people looking at you and say, what are you doing?
Yeah. Yeah, it's so in conclusion, what do you guys think? Let's stay back after the stream. Okay. Let's end it in 2 minutes and then stop the stream, and I want to share something that I want to hear your thoughts on after that. Okay. So before we get into that, what do you guys learn from this particular chapter? We actually managed to cover chapter 3. Wow.
I think chapter 3 is a much heavier chapter than I expected. It left me with some things to reflect and think about, especially the one about Nietzsche saying to focus on one thing or just be okay with multiple things. Yeah, and coming back the next day is a better predictor of grit, like what Andy said. I think that's something for me to think about as well, and as a takeaway for this chapter. And Irvin's story, he's the master of rewriting scripts. I want to add that as someone who writes, Yeah, rewriting is not fun. The moment you start to rewrite the third, fourth, fifth time and sixth draft and all that, you really start to question your ability as a writer. Still, am I cut for it? But this guy, Irving, is able to stick it out.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's actually a very inspiring story. Yeah, that's for me.
Thanks, Ray. I think it's very powerful, right? The ability to come back the next day and sit down and you know the thing about coming back the next day that's so hard. You think that you are done today. You completed your task today, right? You think that everything is settled already today, and then tomorrow you have to wake up and do the whole thing again. What? You mean yesterday I did my stretching already, today I have to do the damn thing again? Why can't I just do it all at one go?
It's part of the process.
I know, right? So that's why coming back for day 2 is something that I really think is very powerful. Yeah. Okay, Tika.
I think the part where finding little joy in everything that you do that will either breaks you or makes you
Break you.
yeah. Yeah, like for Irving case, rewriting is not fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what I learned a lot.
Alright,
Right.
that's cool. So I will end the stream here. Okay, for those of you guys who are on the stream, if you guys want to learn more, okay, DM me or send me a message through YouTube or Twitch. Okay, and yeah, like jogging daily is still working on the coming back after downtime. You know what's the downtime? The downtime is going to sleep today and waking up tomorrow, that telling yourself you have to jog again.
So you need to find joy in that, okay?
Yeah. So I respect Tika for actually finding her joy in doing so, right? She told me yesterday, she says, you know, the one thing that I enjoy the most is running every morning. I ran 4 km. I was like, wow, 4 km, man. You know, it's not even easy for me to run the 10 meters from my bed to the toilet. Come on, man.
But you run 10 kilometers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never said it was easy, right? Okay, so thanks you guys for coming. Those of you guys who want to hear the offline stream, drop me a message and I'll add you guys into the group. Alright? Thanks.